Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I'm Matthew Bruni, and joining me once again is Shay Dixon. We're both wearing like hoodies. We're ready for the cold, even though we're indoors.
It's warming up though.
It is warming up.
Like be like 50 degrees today.
Put your sweaters and coats away. It's
Everybody,
over.
hope everybody's made it through. That's in South Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi.
Yes.
We got hit hard here in BR. I think they said the official count was a little over 8 inches. So, Matty B, that doesn't happen often. Don't get used to it
No.
as a San Antonio native.
Yeah, San Antonio didn't even get nearly as much as BR. So, yeah, I did not go outside. I did not have a snow day. I was like, y'all
Did San
got it.
Antonio ever snow growing up?
Nope. I didn't see snow till I was like 16 years old, and it was in Washington.
There, the
So.
class field trip.
No,
That'll
because
do it.
we had a vacation up there and mountains and stuff. You know how it is.
I don't. That sounds fancy. That sounds cool.
It was great.
I've not taken that trip with family. Just did that 8th grade class trip where you go around all the museums.
Oh no, Washington, the state Washington. Oh, we went to
Oh, you
Seattle.
Pacific
Seattle.
Northwest,
Sorry,
even
yeah,
better.
Seattle. We went to Seattle.
I have done that trip. Very beautiful.
Yes, very beautiful.
Any
Mailbag pod
updates?
today.
Mailbag pod. These are questions from subscribers. Again, it's $1 to sign up for the Bengal Tiger, and you get all of On3. So, shout out to everyone in the new year who's been signing up. We'll be on there this weekend. There's some basketball back to back. Matty B, women
It's
on
back to
short.
back. 3 straight. Women's, men's, then
By
women's
the
on
time you're
Sunday.
listening to this, the South Carolina LSU game probably maybe over, but that is on Friday. I don't. What is LSU ranked? It's 1 versus whatever.
2
Both of
versus
them do.
5.
2 versus 5. Who's won?
UCLA, because UCLA beat South Carolina earlier this year.
Oh, so USC has lost. LSU doesn't. LSU's 20-0.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Keep it
Trying to-
rocking. Keep it
Yeah.
rocking. Okay. $1 for the Bengal Tiger. Come check out everything we've got. But these are all questions from Bengal Tiger members. And we will knock it off with this one from Sissy Dog. Matt, are you kin to McMahon, or do you like him because you have the same first name, or do you just hate men's basketball? I might have went over 2 questions, but they all pertain to the same. Okay, LSU basketball question. What are we, year 3 here? We've
Yes.
discussed it before. He took over, Matt McMahon took over a roster that had 0 players on it, scholarship players, grabbed a few back out of the portal, went heavy in the portal. We're into year 3. I think most people say, oh, year 3 is a kind of bar of, okay, you've done enough now. You've been here long enough that your program's in place. I'll preface it by saying these 2 things quickly and turn it over to you because you're the diehard. I'm the fan in this situation. They lost 2 starters before the season started, basically, and have been playing without Victorious Miller. Also, the SEC might be the best it's ever been in the history of SEC basketball, top to bottom. Now I turn it over to you because people seem very upset that LSU is not winning games beyond beating Calipari.
And yeah, and they're upset they're not winning games despite them going 11-2 in the non-conference and not being winless. Like Texas and like all these teams have one win. Like it's not like they are significantly below all these other teams here. The not winning thing is interesting to me because they went 9-9 in conference last year, 11-2 in non-con this year, and they're 1-4, but they've been competitive against Texas and some other games. But I understand LSU fans are upset because they see that it's going to be like a 4 or 5 win team in conference. But like you said, I think this team with Ward and Reed is borderline in the tournament, honestly. And so you can say, why don't you have more depth? Why don't you have this? And I think there's an aspect. I think if you want to criticize McMahon, you can criticize him in the portal, I'd say. I don't think, Jordan Sears is like a high-end player and some of these other guys are like high-end starters, but they've done high school recruiting. They've won non-conference games. They've overachieved relative to their talent so far this year and last year. So now it's just getting the talent in, and that's going to be the quest for next year and try to keep everybody healthy and not lose guys before the year. So that's in a nutshell, kind of my rebuttal.
You think they're going to win a few more conference games?
Yeah, they'll win a couple
They're not
more.
going to go winless in conference beyond beating Arkansas.
Yeah, and they play Arkansas again, so maybe they beat them twice. But yeah, they you know, you look at the game against Texas coming up at home. First of all, this is going to be a tough 2-game stretch. Alabama, Auburn, those will not be
Those are
pretty.
the two best teams in the SEC.
The SEC is loaded because
They're
you
both
also have
17-1 and
yeah,
16-3 overall, but
Florida,
5-0 and
Tennessee as
5-1.
well, all of them. But regardless, you have like Texas coming up, Arkansas again, Oklahoma, South Carolina. Like they'll win a couple of those,
South
and
Carolina has
so
not won a conference game yet. They are the worst team in the conference.
yeah,
They barely have a winning record. They're 10 and
so
9.
you know they'll get to like I said, they'll get to 4 or 5 wins and just kind of make do with what you have because I think because they've recruited through the high school ranks so much, which I think is fine. They were reliant on those upperclassmen being good, and now you don't have Reed Ward, and you know some of like I don't know if Jai Bailey's a quality starter at this level, and Jordan Sears has been good, not great. So yeah, don't have to go too much longer on that.
Okay, so it's just a very tough slate. You got to put together maybe a stretch of wins and see what happens. I mean, postseason thoughts are tough when an SEC is this good. Like, how many bids are they getting? You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. All right.
It'll,
So,
and look, a good example. Georgia's like been ranked and giving everyone. They're 2-4 in conference. Like their
hmm
record overall isn't much better than LSU's, but are they a better team? Sure, but it's a very tough conference. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
Micah Husser, 24. When will the class prediction 1.0 or a 2026 recruit list come out? It is so that's what they've been on the road right now doing. And we don't often do recruiting in this mailbag, but I'll say this briefly. The staff's on the road all of January and they get to do 2 visits, an in-home and a school visit. So when January wraps up here in the next week, they'll have what their board looks like. So I usually do that first class prediction piece right after that first Wednesday in February when signing day is officially over for 2025, even though Matty B, people forget that signing day is in February. Everybody just signs in December. But
hmm
that first, give it a week, and then I'll do a class prediction and start to lay out position by position who they're really looking at after making offers and then seeing them in person and redoing the board and all that. Fan to the core 13. How does Bear Jones not make the perfect game top 100 juniors list, Matty B?
I
You're about
assumed it
to
was
head
a
to
mistake.
SEC, or you're about to head to
Yeah,
LSU Media
baseball.
Day. Maybe that can be asked there as well.
I assume it was a mistake because he ended up making their first team All American. So I assume it is an error that they have not sent out a release about or anything like that or a statement about. But he made their all like I posted the their story on him being a first team All American for them. So he's clearly one of the best 100 juniors in their minds. That they just somehow forgot to put him on the list. So that's all I can say about that.
That's all I'll say about that one. I don't know if they've gone through. I don't have a perfect game account. I'm on their site right now, so I can't read the whole list. So I don't know if they've edited it and put him in there. But regardless, monster. I saw him at first pitch banquet. He's no smaller than he's ever been. Matty B. That is a big old Georgia boy.
Yeah.
Shoot, between him and the Weeks, Georgia's tearing up the football and baseball
It's
scene.
amazing.
Texan Tiger 2. Project your O line week 1 starters versus Clemson. And then he mentioned Kern or Solomon Thomas. I'm glad he did because I have an article on this with my 5 impact freshmen that I think. And Matty B, I discussed it with you, but I've changed it since then. I've got both those guys on it, and here's why. I think Kern will battle a guy like Cohen Eccles to start at right guard.
Mhm.
You could put Josh Thompson, your Northwestern transfer, at left guard. Your Virginia Tech transfer, Braylon Moore, goes to center.
Mhm.
DJ Chester then gets to compete for a guard spot. Then you have the right tackle and left tackle spots. We know they've said, hey, if there's another tackle in the portal at some point that we like, we'll go after him. But until then, Tyree Adams would be left tackle. Then I'm told by sources, and we already knew this, that Weston Davis is your right tackle, but the battle could be with Carius Kern if they don't go and find another starter. So they liked what Cohen Eccles did in the bowl game. They like Solomon Thomas flipping him late. Those two looks like it'll be a battle at right guard, and then at right tackle you can put Kern there, even though he was number 1 or 2 offensive guard in the country,
Yeah.
athletic enough to play that tackle spot, especially on the right side. He can play Weston Davis. So I'm going Adams, Thompson, Braylon Moore, TBD, but I liked what I saw from Cohen Eccles at right guard
Yeah.
and then at right tackle. TBD again, but you maybe give the edge to Weston Davis. He's older, but Karis Kern and Solomon Thomas are freshmen who are in here already on campus, and we'll see him in spring ball.
Do you think Thomas competes more? Like, I know he can play both, but do you think he competes more for a guard spot or a tackle spot?
You said Thomas?
Yeah, Solomon Thomas.
Guard. I think Thomas is
Guard.
a guard
Okay,
all
yeah,
the way. I think that
yeah,
Kern's more the type who could play
yeah,
some tackle.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was just making sure. That
And
guard
they got
spot is
Tyler Miller as well.
Tyler
And,
Miller as
and
well.
Bordelon will play guard, but Tyler Miller could play guard or right tackle.
Yeah, the guard position battle is fascinating because, like you said, Eccles, Chester, Kern, Thomas, whoever else,
They have
Tyler
depth. I
Miller.
mean, they do.
They have options. They have options to say the least. And I am assuming Moore and Thomas definitely are the best two offensive linemen here. Will be locked in at the 1-2 at the guard, at the center and guard spot. Then it's just figuring out the rest. Tyree Adams should be a starter, and then the others are kind of, like you said, TBD in a sense. And that's where we're gonna have to see Brad Davis's development over the past couple years with a guy like Davis, Eccles. Yeah, Mabanga will be in the mix. I didn't even mention him. He'll be in the mix for a guard spot as
Oh,
well. So
100%. I'm so sorry. Mabanga as well. They
yeah,
really like Mabanga.
hmm
And I know he
yeah,
got tossed in the fire, but they said bowl practices. Mabanga looked really good.
yeah. He got better as he got more reps too, as he clearly started games to end the year. So that's a lot of options. A lot of
Yeah.
options. You just need to see
It's
who
you
emerges.
knew that there would be turnover with four guys leaving, and we've known that all along. I think they've come out well on this, so we'll see where it goes. I can't wait to watch spring ball. But I do like their options. They're talented. Debut 1996. When will we know about a tight end coach or any new analyst hires? They've made one analyst hire. Matty B wrote about it.
Yes.
Bringing a coordinator on as kind of an off-field guy, but someone who's going to run special teams. As for the final on-field coach, it will be a tight ends coach. I'm told they have the name done, and that really this week put them behind. Monday being a federal holiday, Martin Luther King Day, and then Tuesday was snow day in Baton Rouge. University shut down Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're trying to get paperwork processed through the university. So I think that kind of put them behind. So I will not be shocked if that's not announced here in the coming days, is what I was told if everything goes as planned. But I don't, I'll say this, and I haven't reported a name. The consensus feeling is that this is a hire that people will see as a good one. And I liked Nagel. I thought he was a very good coach, but he's moved on. He's OC at Houston now. So in short order, we'll find that out. And then he asked early win-loss predictions for next year. Did I see on FanDuel it was 8.5
Yes.
over? I'm going over, brother. I think this is a 10-win playoff team.
I lean over as well. How high, whether it's 9 or 10, I don't know, but I do lean over. The the thing I do want to say is I don't think them having 8.5 and what is it? I think Bama and someone else has 9. I think that's partially because of the Clemson game, like by itself, because these other teams, I don't know
Yeah.
Alabama's non-conference schedule. I don't think it's as rigorous. Um, but regardless, like that Clemson game alone, drops them a half a game compared to some other teams that
And we
maybe don't
discussed this
have them.
before. You're higher on Clemson than I am. You're higher on
Yeah.
Klubnik than I am. I think this is a team that wins that first game finally, gets to 10 wins, makes the playoffs.
Yeah, like Alabama starts with Florida State, which maybe they'll be better, but probably still not great. Uh, Louisiana Monroe, Wisconsin, who they rolled last year. So like that's their non-conference slate. They're going to be projected 10 plus point favorites in all those games. So
Yeah, just
it's more of a schedule thing to me than it is oh, they're this team is that much better than LSU because they have a win total that's higher or something like
well,
that.
and sometimes you can just see a team being built, see how they're playing or kind of set up to play and or set up to, I guess, be built on offense and defense and know what they've done in the past. They'll be better on D and all that. And they can just make a run. I think that that's what this LSU team will do. I think they'll come out, win that Clemson game, and go on a bit of a run. And if you doubt me, I've got Madison Keys in the finals before the Australian Open started. So just I
Big,
see when
big
someone's
night
put in
tonight.
the work, you put in the offseason work, the results follow.
Big night
It
tonight.
translates to all sports.
Big night tonight. We're ready.
USA, USA. I don't want Sabalenka's got something else to say
She's
about that, I'm
she's scary.
certain. Michael Gary Scott, greater or lesser than 50% chance that we take an additional safety and or O-line in the portal. Since he threw the and or in there, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm going greater. They
Yeah.
will be taking another safety or a lineman. They will take one more player in the portal at one of those positions.
Yeah. The and/or is kind of a bailout. Like, if you had to do both,
Notre Dame's kids are all hitting the portal right now. So
yeah. If we had to do both safety and O lineman, like, what would we percentage that at? Like 40%, like 33%? Like them
um
doing both. I feel like safety
yeah, a
for
little bit
sure.
lower, but if
But
when you say just one more, it's above 50. They want
okay.
another safety and they would like another
Yeah.
tackle as well.
Yeah.
So if both pop up, they take both.
Yeah. For
They're
sure.
I mean, they aren't capped on a number right here.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure it's a fit. They're not going to take guys, and we haven't seen them this cycle really, Matty B. Take guys who you're like, well, why? And in a year they'll be gone. Like it's not flooded with that.
The
So
the most
measured
interesting stat
approach.
the most interesting stat to me is, or not even stat, I guess this is just a fact. Last year they had one top 150 signee from the portal, and it was CJ Daniels. This year they have 9. Like,
Totally different approach. Said it from the
completely
start. They're
different.
going for starters and not just depth, but depth who rotated, rotational depth.
Yeah. So
So Cairo Tiger asked, "What's your most intriguing position battles for LSU? Trying to figure it out. The two deep in football is fun, indeed. We just talked O line. I think that's probably one of them. You could just go across the board at the guard, one of the guard spots, the tackle spots, and debate that. I think that for me though, offense is more fun than defense. I could sit here and talk about defense, but
you get a receiver.
who's the receivers?
Yeah.
And then who's the running back after Caden? Like, what is the? I know Harlan Berry and JT Lindsay, and you've got Caleb Jackson. But like, what does the running back rotation look like after in a world without Josh Williams, where Caden Durham's the number one back? Like, is it a lot of Harlem? Is it Harlem doing different things? Is it JT playing some? Like, who's your short yardage guy? So I'll go wide receiver, running back. That's mine.
Yeah, there's a good amount of answers to this question. I think the defensive end spot is fairly interesting. I've mentioned being high on Gabriel Rutherford going into next year. They added Pyburn, they added Butler, they added Peyton. So that's 4 guys competing for 2 spots. I think that kind of, and they'll all play, but who's the starter, if you want to get into that, I think is an interesting discussion. And then you go to the secondary where we've already shuffled up who we project as the starters multiple times in the past month here. So yeah, you can go any secondary position, corners, safeties, however they want to use Perkins, so on and so forth. So
It's defense. I think gosh, we could do podcasts on both those, but I always like offense, and
we will before the
I
spring.
do wonder though that it's a big thing. They have so many good wide receivers who plays
Yes.
between transfers and returning guys, and then life after Williams, as I said, at running back because Frank Wilson likes to use multiple guys. So what does it look like with all these guys, including Caleb Jackson? Boy, spring football can't get here fast enough, but we can just talk about it till then. C Money Case asked record prediction for LSU baseball this season.
Mhm.
Let's see.
LSU baseball. Well, I know they open up with
They were
Purdue
54 and
Fort Wayne.
17. They were 54 and 17 when they won the World Series.
Question is, can
Uh,
they beat Nichols this year?
that's right. The next year, the year prior, they were 40 and 22 with Jay
43,
Johnson.
43, 23. I think. I mean, if we include the postseason, I mean, this is a team that should be in Omaha, so it should be a 50-win team in total. How high they get on that mark will determine it. But I mean, they have some interesting non-conference games. Dallas Baptist is interesting. The Frisco
Oh, is he a good
Classic is
team?
interesting. And then they just dive into conference where we know the SEC is. They don't play. They do play Tennessee this year. They don't play Vanderbilt this year again. Yeah,
Yeah. Last year, 43 and 23.
yeah. So again, if this is a team that's supposed to make the College World Series, which it is, I think they're third, second on whatever rankings you see out there. So I'll put them at 50 and
Yeah.
20.
50 would be in the World Series at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, 50 and 20. There you go. Is
That's the
Matty
only answer.
baseball.
Matty Baseball, you are going out there here shortly for Media Days, so bring
Yes.
us back some good knowledge. Ask him how many wins he'll have because people on the board were asking. Jay Johnson will love that question. Maneri would
What's
have
your
loved
record
that
prediction,
question.
Jay? That's what we're gonna ask.
Yeah, Maneri would have loved that question. I'm just trying to win a midweek game, Matty B. You're asking
Purdue
me
Fort
about a
Wayne.
season.
Purdue Fort Wayne coming in.
Hey, look, let's do a quick read. My Perfect Franchise. Andy rocks with us each week. You guys know him because we talk about him on every pod every week on the mailbag. But he runs My Perfect Franchise. You can go to myperfectfranchise.net and check it out. But basically, what he does is in the title. He has been a guy who, as a franchise consultant and owner for decades now, has really shifted more to the consulting side, and that's getting people involved, whether they have a diverse knowledge of it and just kind of are looking for different avenues, or whether you know nothing about becoming a franchise owner, franchisee, whatever it might be. If it's a side hustle, if it's you wanting to switch out of your main job, if you're coming out of college or whatever it might be, and you're looking to kind of what is my next move, or you're retired and you're looking for kind of something to do in your free time. He said everything like that is brought up. But because he hooks up with the Bengal Tiger and On3, and because we've become a bit of a team here, anytime someone from the Bengal Tiger and our listeners hit him up, it's free. Talk to him about whatever. So a lot of you have over the years. That's been great. But 404-973-9901. That's his direct number, 404-973-9901. Or email him, Andy, A-N-D-Y, at myperfectfranchise.net. You can tell him we sent you, but any sort of questions you have as a consultant and an owner of many franchises and someone who does it daily, he's got all of the answers. And as he told us this week when we caught up with him, kind of about the year ahead, he said, if I don't have an answer, I tell everybody I get one, and I always have one for him within a couple of days. So give Andy a shout, 404-973-9901. Okay, back to the mailbag, Matty B. Where are we at now? Let's see.
Covert
Covert
Maple.
Maple. What LSU players do you think will be considered preseason all conference heading into next year? Nuss.
There's
Not
two all conference teams, right? First and second.
well, yeah, I guess. I mean,
Uh,
if you get into first and second, let's just do first. Like, who would be a first team all conference
oh,
player?
first team.
I mean, if we're not going down to
Wit,
third here, they put everybody on.
Wit will be first team all SEC before going into the year because he had a billion
Nuss
tackles.
should be.
Nuss will be yeah. Nuss will be again if it's first and second team, definitely first team. I assume he will be. So I think those are the two locks for like a first team. After that, like again, if you want to go second team,
Aaron Anderson could slip
potentially
on that.
Aaron could get on that. I don't know. I don't think the people will give Harold Perkins the benefit of the doubt this year. I think they're going to force him to prove it to them, like just media members or whoever's voting on this. So I don't think Perkins will make it this year. And then, whether I think a guy like Josh Thompson could be potentially in that group, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's tough to like. Do they put Barry and Brown as like a return specialist, or any of the guy like
Yeah, that's true.
you know,
Xavier Thomas
Xavier Thomas, Aaron Anderson? Like they've got
yeah,
three guys who are legit return specialists.
that's probably the group though. That's probably the group. I don't think I'm missing anybody here. Like I don't think they'll put Trades on there.
Oh, that's a
Because
good one though.
most
A
of I
lot of these guys seem to be like they could set themselves up for the next year being all
correct.
conference
Yeah.
players.
And a lot of all conference, a lot of preseason stuff in general is what did you do last year and are you, returning basically. And it's not a lot of projection as much. So yeah, that's kind of the
So one
group
on each side at least. If you're
at
going
least.
first team, I think Garrett and Witt.
Yeah.
Watch Top 51. Who do you think will have the biggest impact and the least of the DBs LSU brought in from the portal? And have you heard any more news of a possible second safety entering the portal? They will. So the only teams, unless you're firing coaches, Notre Dame and Ohio State still have their windows open of guys can enter the portal. Caleb Downs watcher,
Caleb
whatever.
Downs watches.
We're on
That's our
that.
board.
Yeah, any day now. But the spring, second safety could enter the portal, they'd be all over it. If a safety enters and they like them and they bring them in, they'll take them. So we know that one. Biggest impact out of all the DBs, and then the least, I'd say right away. Well, what are they at?
Cool. Cool.
Three DBs: Delani, Cooley, and Jakeem Jackson.
Jackson.
I don't know who. That's tough for me to say the least because I think all three of those guys are going to play.
Yeah. I think
Impact, maybe.
Cooley's the highest. Cooley's the biggest to me because like Delaney and Jackson, like they could work out in different ways. They could start. I don't know. Like Delaney could move around. Pickett could move around. Jackson, I don't know.
Cooley
Um,
starting.
yeah, Cooley's for sure starting to me, and so
I
for
think
that,
Jakeem Jackson's starting too.
I think Jackson's starting, and I think Delaney's good enough to start wherever they want to put him, whether that's any of the 5 positions. Um, so I'd say Cooley most. You're asking me to pick between Jackson and Delaney. I think Delaney's a better player, but Jackson could be like, again, we're talking about this in January 24th, but I think Jackson should probably start at one of the corner spots. So I'll say Delaney least just off of process of elimination, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough. I think all three are good, which is a good sign to have. Like I think all
Yeah,
three will be productive to the point where you don't consider them to be like a liability out there,
correct.
which has kind of often been
Yeah,
the case. But that's why you go to the portal and find guys like this who are proven starters, or guys that like Jackson, who Corey Raymond recruited to Florida and loves, and was the number 3 corner in the country coming out just a couple years ago. I will, but I think we both agree that the most impactful is probably Cooley coming from NC State because he's a safety and they had to have it, so we
yeah.
know he'll be out there a lot. But good question. That's one we'll keep an eye on. Tiger fan 11 yards and TD predictions for Harlem Berry in 25. For perspective, Caden Durham outsnapped Josh Williams this year, 140 to 117, finished for 753 and 6. That's just on the ground. Receiving, I know he did a little bit of damage. 28 catches, 260 and 2. That's more than a little. Harlem Berry's a better receiver than Caden Durham is. So if you want to go total yards here, shit, almost is that 1,753 and
For Caden, yeah, close. Yeah, it is. It is.
753 and 263. Yeah, that's
Harlem,
no 260. Yeah, that's 1,000.
yeah,
Oh
1,000.
gosh, does he go over 1,000
Harlem
all
Berry?
purpose?
I don't think so. No, I was gonna say I first of all, I think Durham is a bell cow for them next year, and I know Frank likes to rotate them, but I think Durham next year will be the go-to. He'll be the bell cow, kind of like how like a Logan Diggs was a couple years ago. I think they're going to give him the ball uh, 15 to 20 times a game, and while they won't throw him the ball, a ton, I think they'll throw it to him enough. I think Caden Durham is like the RB1 here, undisputed. So with Barry, I think the rest of them kind of play a role, right? I think Caleb Jackson plays a physical role. I think Harlem Berry plays that receiver role. He can also run the ball. He's elusive, and then you kind of fill in everybody from there, JT Lindsay and so on. So I actually look at Barry potentially being like somewhere in like the
Go all purpose because he is
all,
that.
yeah, all purpose. Like if we combine the two, I would set it around 500.
Okay, I'm going 707. 700 yards, 7 touchdowns.
That's a lot. Yeah, I mean
If
it's very
Durham hit
possible, especially.
1,009.
But I think Durham this year, like it's not like Durham was going against Josh Williams. Barry's going against Durham. Like Durham, I think Durham should be 1,000-yard back next year. I'm gonna just throw
Yeah,
that out there. I think
he
Durham should
certainly
be.
could be. He averaged over 5.3 carry.
Yeah.
And
Durham.
and look, you've got 117 Josh Williams carries to hand out,
Yeah.
or
Well,
even
no, because
plays
I
and
think Durham
throws.
gets half of those.
I don't know about half. I
I
don't know.
think
Maybe
Durham at close to 200 carries next year. 1,000 yards, 200 carries. Book it. Sorry, this turned
the
into a
last
Caden
time
Durham.
LSU had 200 carries in a season was Ty Davis Price in 2021.
Yep.
211.
Give the ball to Caden Durham. That's gonna be
The
my.
closest since then would be Jaden Daniels, 186.
No, wait. Low
2022
Jaden Daniels had
season.
86 rushes?
Yeah, in 2022, 186 for 885 and 11.
That's incredible.
Josh Williams didn't. No one else had 100 touches. That was the Josh Williams, Kane, Emery,
Yeah, I remember.
Goodwin year.
I remember.
Derek Davis was getting running back touches at times. So yeah, Jaden Daniels just ran the ball, but
186 is nuts. But yeah, I'd say around 500 or so. Yeah, you say 700.
I'll go 700, and
Yeah.
I think he could hit above 5 TDs. So I'll go 700 and then 7 TDs. That's an easy number. Jay Reyes 1650. Is it just me, or is LSU in a great spot to be a serious contender next year? I feel like improvements to the roster, continuity with the staff is where it needs to be. Maybe a bit of fan bias, but I feel great about the team next year, and that plus 2,000 odds for the Natties enticing. Thanks, Shane Matty B. FanDuel does indeed have plus 2,000 odds on LSU Matty
I
B
saw
to win
plus
it all.
2,200 somewhere.
I think get a
Was it
little higher.
Caesars or something? I don't know.
You've heard me talk about it on multiple podcasts, so I'm with Jay Reyes here. I think that what they've done to rebuild the roster, to have continuity on the staff, and then the thing we're going to overlook very easily, they got Nussmeier to come back. He could have been a first round draft pick at quarterback this year, and now it's a betting thing, but he's the odds on favorite to win the Heisman, so he's being held in high regard at least by many.
Yeah.
And no doubt he's an NFL quarterback. So I think just having him alone on your team
Yeah.
makes you competitive after the jump from a year one starter to year two. We saw it with Burrow. We saw it with Daniels. I think we'll see that jump with Nuss. I think that's by far the most overlooked storyline of this offseason just because of how well they did in the portal. Yeah, I think this is a 10-win playoff team.
It is by far the biggest story. Getting Nussmeier back. If they didn't get Nussmeier back, and obviously we know the Underwood situation, maybe I don't know how that plays out regardless of Nussmeier, but if they don't, they have to go to the portal, get fill in the blank, whoever. And we're like, okay, like it's clearly a drop off from Nussmeier, no matter who you get there. So how would we be looking at the team? There would be so many more question marks going into this year if they did not have Nussmeier. So, I think it is a team that has the potential. I think talent-wise, they are in a much better position than they were last year, and now it is about figuring out how that talent works together. And then also on the lines of scrimmage is probably my biggest question. Is they're going to have to be better against the run. You have to run the ball better. Like those two things have to come into play a little bit. So I'm going to have to watch in spring ball to say that they're serious contender. I think they are a playoff contender. I think they should be expectations of making the of making the playoff this year. That much I will say.
Yeah, and if you're a playoff contender, you're a contender, and that's where they should be. So I think that's the floor of expectation with the talent that they've accumulated, the staff they have, all of that.
Yeah.
J87, but I'm with you, Jay Reyes. I do think this will be a really good team. J87, other than Nuss and Durham, who will be the most impactful returner next season and the most impactful transfer? I'll go Weeks on defense, and I will go
Anderson.
Oh, I thought I was just picking one.
Oh,
I'm thinking about
who will
transfer.
be the most? Oh yes, most
Anderson
impactful
makes sense
returner.
on offense too.
Sorry,
I was
yeah, I
just
thought we were
trying.
doing
I
offense
went
defense.
defense.
Sorry, yeah,
I-
most impactful. Okay, yeah. So returning player, I'll just say. I guess I'll say Anderson in that regard. I do
I
think
could easily pick some receivers here. I could
most
pick
impact.
Patrick Payton or edge rushers. I think their most impactful transfer is Braylon Moore, a starting center that with
Yeah,
loads of experience that won't have bad snaps, that won't have missed assignments, that won't
yeah.
have guys coming free at Nuss. I'll go Braylon Moore. They went and got themselves a center with double-digit starts, who I think will make the jump from ACC to SEC seamlessly.
Yeah, it's funny because I not only they have a lot of talent from the portal, but it's a lot of positions of need, which we talked about. I think Patrick Payton is extremely important for this team in terms of he has to play well as a pass rusher. Obviously, Jackson, Cooley, Delaney, we know about them. The
So
receiver,
I'm telling y'all, people keep picking out the sources I speak with a lot. Think Delaney could be a huge impact guy for him.
it wouldn't like Delaney talent wise is. I don't want to say anything crazy. I think Delaney talent wise is probably the best defense back they have.
I like that. Okay, so
And
who's your choice's biggest
now, okay,
portal?
yeah, sorry, that was sidetracked. But
Yeah, who's your impactful portal? I
most
went Braylon
impactful
Moore.
transfer to me is, with all that being said, I'm just gonna go right next to you. I'm gonna go Josh Thompson. I think he is their best transfer portal addition. I think he has all SEC potential. I think he has NFL potential. And for that reason, we know the shuffling around the offensive line. You have Moore, you have Thompson. You should be able to run the ball behind them. You should be able. Those two are excellent
Great
pass
point.
protectors. So I think that's kind of where I go.
All right, so we knew the O-line turnover would be huge, so for us to both name one of them means that they did well.
Yeah.
And in fact, the one position that they had a returning starter at, they went out and got a a new
Yeah.
starter at.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very much vested in building out this team. He said, we didn't get many snow days in South Louisiana. So what was your snow day go-to activity, Maddie B? We don't have kids. Well, I speak for both of us, unless you want to chime in on something I don't know.
Breaking news.
Yeah, just I don't. We let the dogs go out and play. The golden retriever Lundy had a ton of fun. Other than that, inside chilling. I'm not trying to hang out outside.
I don't have snow attire. I have one glove. I don't have, and that glove is a cotton
One,
glove. It's a cotton glove that if
where'd the other
touch the
go?
snow, I don't know where the other one is, but if you touch the snow, it gets on it and it melts, and
Uh-uh.
it's not. I don't have anything for that. I can wear double hoodies and whatnot, but it's just not worth
Drop
it.
your Venmo. And someone's gonna send you some $10 for some gloves, Maddie
Send
B.
me a glove. No, but the snow's
And the
already gone, so
one,
there's no need. There's no need. I'm not wearing gloves anymore. So
well, Hunter Fournette said, "Would you rather live through Snowmageddon or a Cat 6 hurricane?" I'll go Snowmageddon over any hurricane
yes,
because a strong wind and I lose power for 5 days. We did
I was
not
gonna
lose
say.
power during the Snowmageddon.
We did not lose power. Thank you. All that's the most important thing here is, yes, I would rather live through snow than a hurricane. Good Lord.
Jay don't play 318. Shout out to the 318. Said, do you think LSU can flip a 26 quarterback now that Underwood isn't in the fold? I'll have a piece on this coming. Joe Sloan's been on the road all month. The quarterback board is going to look different than it did, let's say, a couple of months ago. I don't think they'll flip Diabell. I don't think they'll flip Faison Brandon from Tennessee. And I think NILs gets involved here too. Those guys are committed to big schools. So those are two that I think I'm looking at. And well, from what I'm hearing, kind of move on from those names. I will have a few names to look for. I'll give you a top three on the site when I write the article this weekend. But they will be new names, which I think will be fun to watch. They're not going to chase the guys that are already committed. Go ahead and get after the guys that you evaled and think had a really big years, because even when they were after Diabell and Faison Brandon, those were before they even played their junior season. So guys
Yeah.
went out and played junior seasons, had great years. Now all of a sudden they've got LSU offers. They will be taking a 2026 quarterback, no doubt. I'll have more info for you, Jay Don't Play, here shortly. Go Tigers 5280 said, y'all do a great job as always. Thank you very much. Which team will win in Natty first? Women's basketball, baseball, or football? Maddie B, your thoughts?
It's funny. Do you remember us getting this question 2 years ago before the women's team won it and baseball won it that year? I remember us getting this
Yes.
question a lot. It was when they had just
Yes.
hired, obviously, BK, Jay, and Kim. And it was like, who's going to win a title first? And then Kim wins it, and then baseball wins it in the same year. Um, so it's funny getting this question again. So I guess now, if I had to put money on, I'd say baseball, because I think they have the best chance at winning it this. Like, I think they could win it in July or June, whenever the World Series is. Like, I think there's a chance for that. And I think Jay's an incredible coach. So I'd say baseball in that regard. Um, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to stick with.
I'm going to go football or women's, but I think baseball, both those are so all
Now,
apart.
yeah, now the baseball thing, the problem is it's a sense of randomness where you could be the top seed hadn't won a
I'll go
championship.
women's basketball or football. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
Um, with Notre Dame losing that natty, does that give a little credence to BK's argument of why he left? I don't really think so.
I don't think so. I
I
think
think
he
NIL and all that changed everything too. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that
BK
didn't
did.
happen when he was there.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything. I think both sides are still in a great spot. Brian Kelly left because he wanted to come to LSU for a new challenge and new landscape, completely new landscape, and Notre Dame is still a very good program. Like there's no demeaning. I will not be here like, oh, Notre Dame is not a top 15 job in the country or top 10 job in the country. I think they are still a good team that has a good coach. Marcus Freeman's very good. So good for them. Good for Brian Kelly. I don't know. I understand why both sides get into the Brian Kelly argument because they're fans or they're looking for engagement. But to me, it's just I cannot. We're in year 3 of both these. You're about to be year 4 of both these coaches, man. Move on. Do something else. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that theme will eventually die down here. And then, like I said, it's tough now with the playoffs. It's tough to get to a natty, so no, there ain't no road for Notre Dame to get right back there and us to have this conversation again. If anything, it could be LSU sitting there and being like, "This
Yeah.
is why he left Notre Dame." And then you play that game. So
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Moving
Notre
on.
Dame's a good program. They're going to be in the mix a lot of years. LSU is in the SEC, which makes things a lot tougher, and they're going to have to reach that potential that we've talked about.
Go 63 said, any other indication that the team's working on other targets in the portal, safety and OT? Yes. And he mentioned it. He said certain radio personalities floated rumors of silent commits at safety and OT on playoff teams waiting for seasons to end, but options there seem to be dwindling. So the season's ended. So if your season's over, you only have 5 days after that to enter the portal. We're coming up. We've seen a bunch of Notre Dame, Ohio State guys start to hit, but we'll see what happens here. Trust me, I hear the same rumors, and quite often a silent commitment means nothing because they end up getting nice NIL deals to stay put, or the second they hit the portal, a lot more suitors come. You have to remember agents are involved now. It's a lot deeper than it was before. So I stay away from any silent commit banking on anything
Yeah.
of that nature. I shoot it to you guys straight on the side of, hey, look, here's a top target. Here's where they stand. And if I think they're going to get them, I'll let you know. Right now, I think we have to let it play out. I don't have anybody that I would say 1000% is done.
Yeah.
MC Cool 1K, but they will be going after, like we've said it multiple times in the pod, safety, OT. If someone comes up they like, they will be on them. And you still have a spring portal window. Uh, MC Cool 1K said, starting that offseason talk, favorite LSU football moment of all time. Matty B, yours is more short lived than mine. Mine's easy. My very first game as a student was the Oregon State game. It rained the whole time before the game started. This would have been Saban's final year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the game was delayed. There was a streaker who had to get carried off by cops. Eventually, they play in the mud, and Alexis Cerna, who went on to win the Groza, missed like 25 extra points and field goals. And Marcus Randall played. Jamarcus got into the game, and ultimately LSU won on a rainy day. So that was year one for me of being a student. First game, student section. So personal choice. I'll
A
pick that
young
one.
Shay, navigating the student section at LSU. Yeah, like you said, mine is since COVID, since 2020, 21.
Yours is a no brainer.
The thing is the Alabama game
Yes,
2022 is the pick, but
correct.
the more like that Ole Miss game last year, I know it doesn't have like that kind of, I guess, it won't have that kind of lure, but they them winning that game is more shocking. Like the shock value,
Well, it knocked Ole Miss out of the playoffs. I mean, one of certainly
yeah, like
a
I get
loss knocked him out.
like in the last 5 years, everyone would say the Alabama game, and yes, that was like the one. It was like, whoa, they won, they beat Alabama, cool, start on the field. The Ole Miss game to me is more shocking. Like it was louder in a lot of instances than the Alabama game. Like it was, and LSU to win that game was more improbable than beating Alabama that year while the game was happening. Like Nussmeier was terrible. They couldn't move the ball. The defense had to Trey Harris dropped the ball. They missed a field goal, like so on and so forth. And for Nussmeier to hit that throw over the middle and then hit the throw to win the game, it just happened so quick. And that is something that was just like overwhelmed you. And then my parents were there, and then they didn't storm the field, but everybody else stormed the field, and so it's just that was
That
a
also came with they never led until there was
so
no
they
time
won.
on the clock till
Yeah.
they won the
So they
game.
won. Like they should not have. Again, they they pulled that game out, and it was so improbable to me that made it incredible on its own. And then you include all the chaos that went on and everything. It was just so loud. It was incredible. So,
Well, and I've been
um,
to a bunch of natties, so those can all be tossed in. But I will say, toss in there, and this is in a moment, maybe even, but uh, Tyron's whole run, Matthew, was some of the most special football I've ever watched. It was appointment television for LSU. Like, don't go up and go to the bathroom if LSU's going on defense. Like, he was about to make a play at all times.
it was the same thing for me. I mean, for us watching Jaden Daniels, the Heisman
Oh,
season.
million,
Like
100%.
I'll never forget the runs against Florida, the 50-yard run
Who
that he breaks, the 80-yard run where I'm like, once he got like 5
gliding?
yards down the field, I was like, yo, he's gone. They're not gonna catch him, and he just bolted. And it's just play after play. That Jaden Daniels year was tough.
We've got a special podcast today. My mom has dropped off one of their border collies who's very eager to.
New dog.
Not mine. My parents have border collies, and now they're driving to look
I
at
know, but
another. Come here. Come here.
new to the podcast.
Come here. Oh no, she doesn't want to get up.
Oh,
Oh, there she is. Okay, quick,
oh
good.
my gosh! Look
Say
at
hello.
that. Look at
You
her.
haven't. Oh, she has her bark collar on. Thank God. That's why she's not making any noise at the moment. All right, we're wrapping up here. You've
Last
gotten
one.
Lundy's here too. She just didn't want to get
Okay,
up and
good.
talk.
Good.
So, and you maybe listen to this afterwards. Obviously, he asked about LSU South Carolina, which is about to happen this afternoon.
Yep.
We're recording Friday at 10 a.m. But he said, Matty B, what needs to happen for LSU to beat South Carolina in women's basketball? And did any team get an advantage from the reschedule? This game was supposed to be played earlier. They obviously the
Yeah.
snowmageddon forced it to Friday.
Yeah, I'll say if anything, I think it favors LSU for have a pushback. And I know I watched Don Staley's interview, and she was like, it was kind of weird. We were preparing for Thursday, and then it got pushed back. So, and they don't have to travel, so LSU was able to travel and get in. So it's a road game. It's going to be challenging no matter what. What needs to happen? A lot needs to happen. I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand how big of a favorite South Carolina is. I think it's like 15 right now.
I was about to say I looked yesterday and they didn't even have a line on the
Yeah, I
game.
think it's 15 right now. That is, I mean, South Carolina just
Give me a 15-second reason. Like they don't have Cardoza and all
yeah.
them. So
So
like
I okay, the
what
top
makes
end
South Carolina
talent. I'm
15
not
points
sure if
better than a 20-0 LSU team
yeah.
with Morrow?
This South Carolina team is not as good as the last three. Like this is the worst of those three. But they're deeper and whatnot. But I think from an overall like top end talent standpoint, Flage, Anista, Michaela will be able to play with them and score with them consistently. I think you need a big Kaylin Gilbert game. I think you need the guards, the point guards, to just not turn the ball over and defend. If all that happens and they rebound, the rebounding aspect is going to be big because both, again, they don't have Cardoso, they don't have Aaliyah Edwards, if y'all remember her.
Of
They're
course.
not like this 6'8", 6'7" front court anymore. So you should have a realistic chance to rebound with them this year. So, the center play, Samaya and Jersey will have to be very strong. But that's kind of where I look at. I think the top end talent will be competitive. It's just, can they sustain it when South Carolina goes 10 deep and, they can rotate in a lot of different players and do a lot of things.
Aaliyah Edwards, Leah Boston. You could just go down
I'm
the
sorry.
list of
Yes, Aaliyah
Aaliyah's.
Boston. Sorry.
Uh,
Aaliyah Edwards is she played at UConn.
it doesn't matter. They've got Aaliyah Edwards types on their team. Don't worry.
Yes, Joyce
15 is
Edwards.
wild for the
Well,
state.
South Carolina just beat Oklahoma by 40, and South Carolina and Oklahoma was a top 15 team. So they're getting, and
The
it's at
disparity,
home.
it seems to me, between like the few really great basket, and I think LSU's in there, and then like the number 15 team might be 20 points.
Yeah, the game is also at South Carolina. If it was in the PMAC like last year, we saw it was a 6 point game. Like if it was in the PMAC, I think in women's basketball at these top end levels, that kind of home court advantage that the PMAC gives you, that South Carolina gets, like that is substantial because a lot of times they haven't played in that consistently. If that
What
makes sense.
before we get out of here, what meeting between Mulkey and Staley at LSU South Carolina is this? Because when LSU won it all, they didn't have to play them. Iowa did
Yeah.
in the tournament.
So they played once that year. They played twice last year. They played once the year before. So this would be 5,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. unless I'm forgetting. But yes, I know I'm right in the last 2 years because, like you said, 2 years ago when they played them, they lost on the road by 20 or whatever. Didn't matter. Kalen Clark beat them, and they win the title. Last year they played them twice, both awesome games. Like both, I think 6-point game and a 7-point game. The SEC title one had the brawl, the scrum, whatever you want to call it. Really fun game as well. So I think it'll be a good game. I think they'll keep it within the 14.5. I don't know how much, but I think they'll keep it close for a while.
Okay, I was trying to look up the series history, but I
I want to
didn't
say it's
see it there.
4 and like for Staley and Mulkey here, it's 4-0, but it's 2-1 in championships. That's all. And
Well,
these
and
teams have
no
won.
game. I'm on South Carolina's website right now, or their On3 website. I didn't realize no game day will be there, which
Yeah,
game
the
day
no,
was originally set to be there.
yeah, for Thursday, but they had to reschedule it, and game day ended up
Oh,
being
and I
moved.
forgot about this. The last time the two teams met, the bench clearing fight led to 6
Yeah,
players being ejected.
that was amazing.
Flauget, Angel, Cardosa,
Flage's
Fulwiley.
brother jumped into it.
Oh yes, that was amazing. Must see
Cardoso just
TV.
trucked Flage, which was crazy, but yeah. So always something,
Um,
always something to look forward to here when these two play.
it does say that their biggest concern seems to be stopping someone you called this week, kind of a generational player for LSU and Morrow.
Yeah,
I just read the South Carolina breakdown of 5 keys to the game, and their kind of biggest key was how do you stop Morrow?
yeah. If Morrow has a strong game, that means she's rebounding well. That means she's hitting shots. Her versus like Chloe Kitts is a fascinating
That's what it
matchup.
said. Chloe Kitts is the battle.
Yeah, Chloe. That last year in the PMAC, they were back and forth. I know Joyce Edwards will get some run in there as well,
Yep.
who LSU was committed recruiting for a long time. But she's from South Carolina. Playing at South Carolina is not a surprise. So yeah, it's gonna be
All
a
right,
fun one.
buckle
4
in.
o'clock, 4 o'clock Central Time. Tune in, ESPN, or is it ESPN 1 or 2? One of
I
the
think
2.
it's just ESPN.
Yeah, so tune in to that. I got to get over to baseball,
Get
so
it.
that wraps it up. Thank you all for joining us today. Leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. $1 to join the Bengal Tiger On3 for a week and join the message board and see what you're missing out on over there. If you're listening on the audio side, Spotify, Apple, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and we'd appreciate it. So for Shay Dixon, I'm Matthew Bruni. We will talk to y'all later.